it's your girl KV
and Seline,
and we are back with another episode of the Hood Health Report. Today, our topic is the vegan diet better? I was moved to make this, to talk about this because we see a lot of people talking about vegan diets and how they're vegans, and my husband is vegan, and I used to make fun of him when we first got together because I would call him like a very unhealthy vegan. He ate a lot of fried rice and French fries, and I'm like, you don't even eat a whole lot of vegetables to be, saying that these are the reasons that you're vegan. And I see that a lot. Like, people just automatically think vegans will be healthier, vegans will be skinnier, and it's just like, that's not always the case. You still have to follow, a plant-based diet. So today we're going to talk about that diet and how it affects you versus a pescatarian diet or omnivore, things of that nature.
Who said that?
Who said it?
So jumping right into our first article of the day, study reveals vegetarians have a 50% higher risk of hip fractures. Here is what can be done. So while plant-based diets come with many benefits, research reveals that vegetarians and vegans do have a 50% higher likelihood of experiencing hip fracture compared to those who consume meat regularly. This analysis was from the data of over 400,000 individuals in the UK. So this study sorted out people into groups such as meat eaters, pescatarians, which are people that eat fish only, like fish and vegetables, vegetarians, and vegans. So vegans had more instances of hip fractures than meat eaters, and pescatarians trailed behind them, still having more fractures than meat eaters. Some of the hypothesized reasons include the lower BMI that vegetarians have. So if they, basically aren't eating enough to sustain them, then they aren't healthy enough to really prevent them from certain injuries. They also talk about lower protein and vitamin intake being a culprit. Some of the study limitations are variations in diet quality within and between diet groups, and also overall health risk profiles such as the age and living conditions. And another thing to note from this article is it was done in the UK. So their diet is a lot different than what we may eat in the US. So that's another thing to kind of keep in mind when you think about studies like this.
And to add on, it said that vegetarians consume less dietary proteins, iron, iodine, and some of the other essential vitamins that they might need, so B12 and vitamin D. And then also, if you are a vegetarian or vegan, it's a way to increase those protein levels is to add things like soy products like tofu, edamame is a good one as well. In addition to like more beans and various nuts and seeds to provide excellent sources of protein. You can think of lentils, nuts, and seeds like walnuts and almonds.
Yes, so as I mentioned opening this episode, it's very important that as vegans you still find different foods or vitamins to supplement what you're not getting, because meats and dairy and some other things, they do have some nutritional value when it comes to keeping us strong and healthy.
And then side note, while I'm thinking about it, I know you mentioned your husband. I also tried to do vegan for a while. I wasn't very successful. I think that you have to set yourself up to be successful if you do want to be vegan. It's a lot of learning curves that you have to learn about. And then also, I think at the time, it just wasn't enough available options. Especially in Memphis. Like, I would be going to the grocery store. I couldn't find substitutes for like things that I just usually would use. So I didn't know what to use if I wasn't using eggs, or if I didn't have milk. I mean, of course you can use some plant-based milks and stuff like that, but sometimes the taste is different. You have to get used to like those types of things. So it's just like being very you have to be very disciplined. I feel like you have to really like take into account, it's not just cutting out meat. It's also like just learning what it is that you can use to supplement those vitamins and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'll say in our house, I try to make sure we get a lot of beans and lentils because they do provide, different proteins and things of that nature. And now we only buy vegan butter. Like, we don't even really buy real butter anymore because, if we're cooking, the vegan butter, it gives the same effect. It's the same taste. And with the eggs, a lot of people don't know flaxseed. So I make flax eggs. I have a big bag of flax, and you just 1 tablespoon of the flax seeds with 3 tablespoons of water and just beat it for a while. And once you let it sit for about 5 minutes, it has that same consistency of an egg. So when I'm making cornbread or dressing, as I have for over the holidays, that's vegan for my husband, I use that flax egg to,
You see, I don't know if I would necessarily go back, but it's good to learn stuff like that. I think when I was doing it, it was just so early on. I didn't know those types of things. So it's just important if you are going to consider becoming vegan or changing your diet, just learning and just really experimenting, honestly.
Yeah, I've had to come up with different recipes and different ways to cook things. Like with my red beans and rice, I don't, I just make the big pot of red beans without all of the meats. And then once it's cooked, I'll separate out mine that I put my andouille in and things of that nature just to make sure that, I'm catering to that vegan diet.
Gotcha. I don't know if I can ever go back.
Yeah, I don't think I can ever be fully vegan. I like cheese and yogurt a little too much. I have some vegetarian days sometimes where if I'm cooking a vegan meal and I don't feel like cooking anything else, I'll just go ahead and eat whatever I cooked for my husband. But to be full-blown vegan, that's a lot.
I'm going to hop into the next article. So it says, research shows that vegan diets lead to nutritional deficiencies, health problems. Plant-forward, omnivore, whole food diets is healthier. So in this article, it says that the vegan diet is often promoted as being good for heart health. Eliminating consumption of animal products may cause nutritional deficiencies that can lead to negative consequences. With that statement, I think it's important that you remember it's not necessarily saying that being vegan is a bad thing. I think it more so is saying if you aren't getting those necessary vitamins and stuff of that nature, then of course you're putting yourself at risk of, being deficient in certain aspects. And then also avoiding consumption of animal-sourced foods may also be related to higher rates of depression and anxiety. Because I watched a video on this. Basically, sometimes when people are killing animals and stuff like that, they're putting those animals in a lot of stress and other things. So they say that sometimes that can be what's the word when you
consume it, you're consuming their fear and their pain.
So a lot of times people say that leads to depression, anxiety, secondhand. I guess it's secondhand. And then instead of eliminating all animal source foods, researchers concluded that plant-forward whole food diets may be more effective than the dietary approach to improve life expectancy. So instead of eating pork every day, maybe cutting back on it some days, or finding other sources of foods to even out, what it is that you're eating. If you aren't necessarily comfortable with becoming completely vegan or going vegetarian, just finding a good mix of both, so that way you are putting yourself at less harm's risk of just a healthier diet in general.
And another thing just about the vegan diet in general, I've been finding that a lot of restaurants have super processed food. So it's is the vegan diet really much better if you're eating processed meat with processed cheese, with processed sour cream, everything you're trying to make to be a normal thing of nachos, but making it vegan, it's heavily processed. And we've seen where Beyond Meat and other Impossible Meat, things like that, they'll change their recipes and add in some random carcinogens
lot
or
of
things, a lot of
additives.
additives to make it more meat-like or keep it red or, you know, a cheaper way to keep it in production. So these are also things to think about. And that's why I like that this article talked about, you know, not necessarily having to be vegan, but being more plant-forward. Because just because you're vegan doesn't mean you're eating plants.
Exactly.
And that's what I noticed here in Memphis. Like, we have vegan restaurants that are popping up, but most of them don't even have vegetables.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I should be able to go to a vegan restaurant and get a sauteed vegetable, you know, whether it's some cabbages, some zucchini and squash, but a lot of them don't have that. They'll just have fried mushrooms, fake meat, fake cheese, and all of these fried foods to simulate, you know, real chicken and things of that nature.
Now that you mentioned, I think that was like another thing that was really hard for me when I was trying to be vegan. I know what chicken tastes like. I know what chicken is. So if I'm eating cauliflower buffalo wings, I could just say I'm eating cauliflower with buffalo sauce, and that's fine because that's what I'm eating. I don't think we necessarily need to say that it's a chicken wing or something like that. Like, just enjoy what you're eating, enjoy the vegetables that you're eating instead of trying to simulate something else. I think that would help it out a lot, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've also seen like on social media where people try to do the fake chicken leg, and they have that wooden stick and they're like wrapping this processed soy or whatever tofu around it to give it the look of chicken or ribs, and I'm just like, you can't think that this is healthier than just eating the chicken. Like, they have processed this so heavily that it's now like not healthy at all. And I even saw, because you know the holidays just passed, where somebody was making vegan chitlins, and I was just like, what is this that you in your kitchen playing with, and why? It was just so ridiculous to me to see how they try to make everything vegan, opposed to just eating some vegetables, eating some nuts and some lentils and some beans. Like, eat your fruits and veggies, have a nice salad. Like, what happened to the salad? You know, but like I said, these vegan restaurants, they don't even have vegetables. So they also stated that these deficiencies can be related to higher rates of depression, anxiety, hair loss, weak bones, muscle wasting, skin rashes, hypothyroidism, and anemia. So like a lot of these deficiencies, if you aren't eating the plant-forward diet and you're not taking any supplements to, you know, supplement the stuff that you're missing, could cause
a lot of health issues.
A lot of health risk. So animal foods such as wild-caught seafood, pasture-raised meats, eggs, and sweetened dairies are some of the things that, you know, kind of balance these things out. Like I said, not necessarily going full vegan unless you know, incorporate all of the veggies, nuts, avocados, berries, olive oils, legumes, and such, beans, that is. So yeah, making sure that you have a well-rounded diet and not just going to cut out meat.
I also find if you are trying to become vegan, it's easier if you slowly taper it off instead of trying to do it all at once. I think that might help if you really do feel like you want to be vegan. Slowly changing your diet instead of doing it all at once, because I feel like if you do try to do it all at once, it's harder for you to transition. It's a hard transition, especially if you've been eating meat your whole life, or if you've been heavily eating food that is animal based. So the next one is a vegan diet healthy? A vegan diet is a type of vegetarian diet that excludes not just meat, but all animal products, including dairy and eggs. Vegan diets can be a part of a healthy lifestyle when planned and implemented correctly. That's the reason why I said if you are planning to do or become vegan, it's just important to learn what it is, plan out your diet, and then also just have the information so that way you're able to do it successfully. A healthy diet should be one that is colorful, has a variety of plant-based foods, includes fresh vegetables, fruits, nuts and seeds, beans, and whole grains. So it's just important that you get the whole color wheel involved with your diet, and that you aren't just eating processed vegan food, because it says processed vegan food, like it's important that you're still able to like get the whole variety of plant-based foods in there. Limiting high processed meats and meat alternatives in either diet is important, and it's key to optimizing health benefits for any diet. And then growing children should not be on a vegan diet. Well, this is what the article says, but I mean, if you're a parent, you're going to do what you want to do. Growing children should not be on a vegan diet due to the lack of essential vitamins, minerals, and proteins needed for these growing bodies. So I guess if you do have a child that wants to be vegan, or you're implementing a vegan lifestyle on your child, then just making sure that you are still providing them with those key vitamins, minerals, and proteins that they might need in order to, grow and develop.
So with you mentioning, kids, it's not recommended that they follow a vegan diet, it made me think about back before I got pregnant, talking with my husband about how, since he's vegan, does he expect us to raise a vegan child? And I told him, I did not want to do that. I did not want to have a child that goes to the birthday parties and they can't eat the cake and the ice cream like the other kids, or don't nobody want to watch them overnight because they got to cook them special foods and all the things like that. But when I'll say up until she was about 1.5, she pretended to be vegan for quite some time. She would only eat what he was eating, and if I was eating something, she would look at him for approval on if she should eat it or not. And then one day she was at my parents' house and we caught her eating pork chops, and so it was just kind of like, wow, you were really pretending to be vegan for your daddy at 1 year old. So that made me think of that. So they also talk about some supplements vegans should be mindful of. Mm-hmm. One is calcium, which would be fortified milk alternatives, broccoli, leaf greens, almonds and almond butter. Another one is iron, which would be soy nuts, tofu, kale, spinach, beans, and peanut butter. For protein, look at lentils, beans, quinoa, oatmeal, hemp seeds, whole grains, and nut butters. And for B12, fortified cereals or orange juice. B12 is one of the most challenging nutrients to try to achieve optimal intake and typically requires oral supplements. I know now people even do the B12 shots a lot. Mm-hmm. Just because, like they said, it's one of those challenging nutrients to intake. So just some things to think about if you're going vegan and you need to still get all of those nutrients and supplements out of the way.
And then in the next article, I'm just going to hop right into that one. It just discussed a little bit more into the vegan diet. So it says about 3% of Americans actually follow a vegan diet. It goes into some of the health benefits and a couple of the risks. So if you are looking to go into becoming vegan, then here are some of the health benefits that you can look to achieve. Heart health and lower odds of having certain diseases, less chance of becoming obese and getting heart disease, high cholesterol and high blood pressure, less likely to get diabetes and some kinds of cancer, especially cancers in the GI tract and breast, ovaries, and uterus for women. Some of the risks are that you are avoiding eating animal proteins that can shortchange you from a few nutrients such as protein, calcium, omega-3 fatty acids, zinc, vitamin B12, and vitamin D. But we went over a list of a couple of different food items that you can eat to help with that. So if you are developing, or you feel like you're developing a shortage in those, then just make sure that you're uptaking in those other foods to what's the word I'm looking for?
Supplement?
Yeah, to supplement.
So the next article is just kind of drives home more of those benefits. So this is top 10 benefits of a vegan diet. Number 1, it may support weight loss. There was a U.S. study that compared vegan diets to other diets and cited that the nutritional quality of a balanced diet has the lowest total energy intake, a better fat profile, and the highest fiber intake that makes meals more filling. So if you're eating, like I said, the whole diet as far as plant-based and your veggies and things of that nature, you'll have more fiber and you'll be more full than if you're just eating a bag of chips for a snack and then you're still hungry and you're still eating. So that may support weight loss. Number 2 is may support heart health. Whole grains, legumes, which are beans, fruits, and veggies are associated with a lower risk of heart disease and stroke. Number 3 may lower blood pressure and cholesterol. There are notable reductions in the number of cardiac risk factors for a vegan diet. Number 4 may support blood sugar balance. Vegans tend to have higher insulin sensitivity and lower blood sugar levels, which reduces risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Number 5 may reduce the risk of diabetes complications for those that already have diabetes. Number 6 may reduce the risk of certain cancers. Eating more plant-based foods and cutting intake of smoked or processed red meats has been shown to reduce cancer risk. Number 7 may be beneficial for gut health. Number 8 may be anti-inflammatory. Antioxidant-rich foods may reduce inflammatory fractions like seen in rheumatoid arthritis and osteoporosis. Number 9 may support healthy skin due to the intake of vitamins in the plant-based diets. And number 10 is high scoring for nutritional quality.
And then also in that article, it said if you fail to plan your diet properly or you have genetic profile that may restrict you from absorption of certain key nutrients, that you should just increase what you are missing in those essential nutrients in order to supplement. And also, I just think it's important if you are starting a vegan diet or you are looking to change your diet, then to talk to like a nutritionist just to be on the safer side, just so you know exactly what it is that you might be genetically disproportionate in.
That brings me to, I saw like a lot of the places, people have the New Year's resolutions. So a lot of the Medi Spas are doing, different informationals about how to lose weight. And one thing I saw was people doing like a blood workup to see what causes inflammation in their bodies, because everybody is different. So some people might have a pork sensitivity, or some people might be sensitive to beans and things like that would keep them to be bloated and not have a good effect on them. So just making sure that if you are able to do stuff like that, that you get that blood work up to show what would be best for your blood type and for your body, and just the individual person, and not just an overall here's the diet.
And then lastly, our last article is how to maintain a balanced diet as a vegetarian or vegan. It just basically goes over some of the stuff we've already been speaking on, but I'm going to sum it up a little bit more. It says to avoid foods that are high in sodium, added sugars, and fats. Vegan and vegetarian products such as Fox or faux meats can be very processed and loaded with a lot of salt. So just making sure that you know that you still read the label and see if it has a whole bunch of sodium or a whole bunch of sugar, that might not be the best option for you. Do not eat too many carbohydrates, which a lot of people don't really realize. But if you are eating more of like a vegan diet, then of course you probably are going to be intaking more breads, grains, and stuff of that nature too. So just making sure that you don't load up on those and you try to cut those out of meals. And then if you're vegan, calcium, it can be found in veggies such as cooked kale and collard greens. Those are good alternatives. That's it for me. Oh, and then also, if you are interested, they had a movie on Netflix called What the Health. You can check it out. It gives some good talking points about vegan and about plant-based diets if you are interested.
I had watched a movie like when it first came out, but when you mentioned it in reference to this episode, I kind of went back to watch it a little bit more. And one of the things that was like the shocker was they talked about how we're in a diabetes epidemic, and a lot of Americans have diabetes, and the misconception of, diabetes being related to sugar. It's not that it's related to sugar, it's about the diet and everything that we eat, but it blocks from that sugar intake, and that's why people, think that diabetes is so related to sugar. But yes, definitely check out that documentary. It had a lot of good information. Make sure, you also do your own research when it comes to stuff, because it mentioned how, some websites that are government funded would say that, oh, eat this instead of this, but then you go to a certain website and it talks about how that's still a carcinogen and it's not good for you. So make sure if you are planning to switch up your diet or do something that you deem healthier, that you do that research to really find out if it is healthier, and if you're able to, get that blood work done to see what would be the best option for you specifically. So that concludes this episode of Hood Health Report.
So this is a wrap for this episode. I hope y'all enjoyed it. You can follow us on Instagram, which is Hood Health Report, as well as Facebook and Twitter, Hood Health Pod.
We also have a TikTok page now, Hood Health Report. Follow us there.
Yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. All of the links will be in the descriptions and the bios for you to click on.
Tap, like, comment, do it all.
Subscribe, all of the things. Share it with a friend.
Yes.
Share it on your social media.
If you have a TikTok, make a little video, send it.
Let us know you're out there watching, guys. All right, that's it for this episode. Bye.